Do you even hear yourself, Ethan? I asked, my voice shaking as I stood in the middle of his living room. After everything I've done, you're just ending it? He didn't look up from his phone. I'm being honest, Ava. You're holding me back. I blinked hard. Holding you back? I quit my job to help you build your company, he sighed, setting the phone down. Exactly. You don't have a job anymore. You depend on me for everything. I can't be with someone who slows me down. The room fell silent except for the soft clink of his glass as he took another sip of whiskey. My stomach twisted. You said we were a team. He leaned back on the couch, smirking slightly. That was before I realized I'm the only one with real ambition. I felt the heat rise behind my eyes. So all those nights I stayed up helping you write proposals, all the times I skipped meals so we could pay rent, none of it mattered? Don't make this dramatic, he said coldly. You were a good distraction for a while. But let's be honest, Ava, you'd be nothing without me. The words hit like a slap. For a second, I couldn't breathe. My voice cracked. Say that again. He shrugged. You heard me. You don't have what it takes to make it on your own. I laughed, a sharp, broken sound. You really think that, don't you? He stood up, running a hand through his perfectly styled hair. Look, you're sweet, but I'm building a brand, not babysitting someone who still doesn't know what she wants. I could barely see through the blur in my eyes. You said you loved me. He smiled, soft but cruel. I did, until I realized love doesn't pay bills. My throat tightened. So this is it? You're just throwing me away? He stepped closer, lowering his voice. You'll thank me one day. I'm setting you free. Free? I whispered. Free to start over with nothing? He picked up his jacket and glanced toward the door. You'll land on your feet if you ever figure out how to stand without me. Something inside me cracked. Not the fragile kind of breaking that hurts quietly, but the loud, ugly kind that changes everything. I grabbed my bag, my hands trembling. Keep the apartment, I said. It's already full of your lies anyway. He didn't stop me. He didn't even look up when I walked out. The hallway outside was cold and smelled of rain. My shoes echoed against the marble floor, each step heavier than the last. My reflection in the elevator door looked like a ghost. Mascara streaks, red eyes, shaking lips. I bit down hard on my lip, whispering, You'll regret this, Ethan. One day, you'll see me and wish you hadn't said that. The elevator doors opened, and the night air slapped me awake. I had nowhere to go, no job, no home, no plan, but the pain burning in my chest was sharper than fear. I called Leela. My voice broke as soon as she answered. He's done with me. Oh my God, Ava. Where are you? Outside his building. Come here, now. I'll make tea. You don't have to talk until you're ready. I hung up before my voice could crack again. My hands shook as I wiped my face, smearing what was left of my makeup. The rain started falling harder, soaking through my clothes. Maybe he was right. Maybe I was nothing. But as lightning flashed over the city, a thought whispered through the noise. If I'm nothing now, then I have nothing left to lose. And that was the first moment I felt something new, something raw and alive. Not hope. Not yet. Just the beginning of fire. Leela handed me a blanket and a mug of tea. You should sleep, Ava. You've been staring at that wall for an hour. I can't, I muttered, pulling the blanket tighter. Every time I close my eyes, I hear him say it again. You'd be nothing without me. She sat on the edge of the couch. He's a coward. You gave him everything, and he still wanted more. I let out a bitter laugh. Maybe he was right. I don't even have a place of my own now. I'm crashing on your couch like some lost kid. Leela sighed. You're not lost. You're just hurt. I stared at the ceiling. Hurt doesn't even cover it. I feel erased. Like everything I did meant nothing. She touched my arm gently. You'll start over. You always do. I wanted to believe her, but my chest felt hollow. Do you ever think maybe some people just don't have it in them? The drive? The spark? Maybe I'm one of those people. Her eyes flashed. Don't you dare say that. He broke your heart, not your potential. I swallowed hard. Then why does it feel like he took everything with him? Because you let him define you, she said softly. You loved him so much you forgot to love yourself. Her words stung because they were true. I looked down at the tea, now cold and untouched. I gave up everything for him, Leela. My job, my time, my plans. And he didn't even flinch when he threw me out. She grabbed my shoulders. Then take it back, all of it. Take your time, your strength, your life, make it yours again. I tried to smile, but my throat tightened. I don't even know where to start. Start by forgiving yourself, she whispered. You can't rebuild while you're bleeding. I looked away. I can't forgive myself yet. Not while he's out there living his best life. Then use that anger. Let it push you, not drown you. The room went quiet except for the soft hum of the refrigerator. My phone buzzed beside me. A new email. I opened it, half hopeful, half numb. Another rejection, I whispered. Not even an interview this time. Leela's face softened. Ava, no, it's fine. I forced a shaky laugh. Guess nobody wants a washed-up ex-assistant. She frowned. You're not washed up. You're just in the middle of your story. Middle? I scoffed. It feels like the end. She took the mug from my hand. Then write a new one. I didn't answer. When she went to her room, I pulled my journal from my bag. The one I used to scribble his business notes in. Now it would be mine. I flipped to a blank page. My handwriting was shaky, but the words came fast. He said I was nothing. I'll make him choke on those words one day. I stared at the line until my vision blurred. My hands trembled, but the anger inside me burned steady like a match refusing to die. Outside, rain tapped against the window. The city lights looked distant, unreachable. But somewhere in the noise, a thought whispered through the pain. Maybe this is what the bottom feels like before you rise. I closed the journal, whispering to myself, you'll see me again, Ethan, and when you do, I won't be the girl you left. For the first time that night, I didn't feel empty. I felt alive. Congratulations, Ava, the HR lady said flatly, sliding a contract across the desk. It's an entry-level position. Long hours, low pay. No complaints, understood? Yes, I said quickly. No complaints. She gave a thin smile. Good. Welcome to Brightmark Advertising. That was it. No handshake, no smile of encouragement. Just a stack of papers and a cubicle smaller than my old kitchen table. I walked to my new desk, the one in the far corner, next to the storage closet. Leela texted me. How's the new job? I typed back. Tiny desk. Giant dreams. New girl? Someone muttered behind me. I turned to see a woman with bright red lipstick and sharp eyes. Yes, I'm Ava. Cindy, she said, tapping her nails against the divider. Word of advice, don't try to impress anyone here. They won't notice. I forced a smile. Then I'll just impress myself, she smirked. Good luck with that. Hours passed in silence except for the clack of keyboards. My job was mostly printing reports, bringing coffee, and pretending I didn't hear people whisper about deadlines I wasn't allowed to touch. By noon, my feet ached and my stomach growled. I poured cheap coffee into a paper cup and whispered, it's a start. That night, after everyone left, I stayed behind to watch training videos on digital marketing. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead as I scribbled notes. You planning to sleep here? A deep voice asked. I jumped. A man stood at the door, suit jacket over one arm, expression calm but curious. I had just studying, I stammered. I'm new. I can see that, he said, stepping closer. Rowan Pierce. I'm an investor. Came for a meeting earlier. Oh. I straightened my posture. Sorry if I'm in your way. He glanced at the notes scattered across my desk. Marketing analytics? Not exactly light reading. I laughed nervously. I'm trying to learn enough to be more than the girl who fetches coffee. He nodded slowly. Most people clock out at 6. You're still here at 9. I don't have much else, I admitted. So I might as well learn something. His expression softened. Keep that attitude. The industry notices people who don't quit. Does it though? I asked quietly. Feels like no one even knows I exist. He smiled faintly. They will, if you stay consistent. Something about his tone made me believe him. The next day, Cindy eyed me as I organized a pile of client folders. You were here late, weren't you? Just learning, I said. She shrugged. You'll burn out fast, maybe, I replied, but at least I'll burn bright before I do. The words surprised even me. I'd never sounded confident before. When Rowan walked through the office again a week later, he nodded at me. Still studying? Yes, sir, I said. Every night. He smiled. Good, don't stop. As he left, I stared at the glass door. My reflection faint beneath the office lights, still tired, still unsure, but somehow stronger. I whispered to myself, from this desk, I'll build something bigger. The hum of the computers answered like quiet applause. For the first time since Ethan, I didn't feel invisible. I felt unstoppable. I stared at the mirror in my tiny office bathroom, fingers tracing the edge of the sink. The woman looking back at me didn't seem familiar anymore. Straighter posture, sharper eyes, calmer breath. 2 years, I whispered. 2 years since I started from that desk in the corner. Leela knocked on the door. Talking to yourself again? I opened it, smiling faintly. Helps me stay sane. She grinned. Or proves you've finally gone insane. Either way, our numbers for the quarter look amazing. I followed her to the office, a small space with mismatched furniture and a wall covered in sticky notes. I can't believe people actually want our services, I said. Believe it, she replied. You built this from nothing. Her words made me pause. Nothing. The same word Ethan had thrown like a knife years ago. His voice echoed in my head. You'd be nothing without me. Leela noticed my silence. You're thinking about him again, aren't you? Just for a second, I admitted. I still hear it sometimes. His voice, like an echo. I can't erase. She crossed her arms. Then drown it out with your own. You're the boss now, remember? I smiled weakly. Boss, that still sounds strange. It shouldn't, she said. You earned every inch of it. Before I could answer, my phone buzzed. Unknown number, I muttered, answering. Hello? Miss Martinez? A smooth, familiar voice. Rowan Pierce here. Do you have time for a quick meeting? I froze. Rowan? Of course. Always. Good, he said. I've been watching your company's growth. I think you're ready for something bigger. When the call ended, I just stood there. Leela waved her hand in front of my face. Rowan Pierce? The investor guy? The one who caught you studying at your desk that one night? The same one, I breathed. He wants a meeting. She squealed. This could be it, Ava. The moment. I tried to laugh, but nerves tangled in my stomach. Or the test that proves I still don't belong. Leela frowned. Stop that. You do belong. The mirror says so. I blinked. The mirror? She pointed toward the bathroom door. Go look again. And tell me if you still see that girl who used to cry on my couch. I walked back slowly. The fluorescent light flickered above me as I stared at my reflection again. My hair was neatly tied, my eyes steady. I barely recognized the fragile girl I used to be. I don't see her anymore, I said softly. Good, Leela called from the hallway. Then let her rest. Later that afternoon, Rowan arrived at our office. He looked around, impressed, but expressionless. You've grown, he said. Both the company and you. Thank you, I replied, trying to sound confident. He sat across from me. You built something solid in 2 years. That's rare. I'd like to invest, help you expand. My breath caught. You want to invest? I do, he said simply. I believe in your vision. You remind me of myself when I started. I smiled, though my voice trembled. I never thought I'd hear someone say that to me. He chuckled. Then start believing it, as he signed the partnership papers. I glanced once more at my reflection in the glass wall. That woman looked nothing like the one who had begged Ethan to believe in her. I whispered under my breath. You were wrong about me, Ethan. So wrong. Leela grinned. What was that? Nothing, I said, smiling fully this time. Just telling my past goodbye. The chandelier above me sparkled like ice. The sound of laughter, glass clinks, and polished shoes echoed through the hall. My first business gala. My name was printed on the guest list beside people I used to Google for motivation. Leela nudged me. You're doing that thing again. What thing? I asked, sipping my champagne. The staring and awe thing. You belong here now, Ava. I tried to smile. Tell that to my heart. It still thinks I'm crashing someone else's party. Before she could respond, Rowan appeared, effortlessly calm in his black suit. You clean up well, he said. Thanks. I was aiming for not invisible. He smirked. Mission accomplished. We moved through the crowd together, shaking hands, exchanging cards. Everyone smiled too brightly, talked too smoothly. A woman approached, elegant, confident, mid-40s maybe. Ava Martinez, she said, offering her hand. I've been wanting to meet you. Naomi Carter. I blinked. Naomi Carter? From Carter Digital? She smiled. So you've heard of me. Good. It means I should have heard of you sooner. I laughed nervously. That's incredibly kind. It's honest, she said. You're talented. The market's been whispering your name lately. The compliment hit harder than I expected. That means a lot coming from you. Naomi studied me for a moment. You have that look, she said softly. What look? The one people wear when they get what they wanted. And realize it isn't enough. My throat tightened. That obvious? She smiled knowingly. only to those who felt it. Before I could respond, someone called her away. I watched her disappear into the crowd, her words still echoing. Rowan appeared beside me again. Naomi Carter, huh? That's a big acknowledgement. Yeah, I said. So why do I feel nothing? He tilted his head. Because success doesn't fix emptiness, Ava. It just decorates it. I looked down at the floor. I thought I'd feel something, power, maybe, vindication, but all I feel is quiet. That's not failure, he said. That's growth. I met his eyes. Then why does it feel so lonely? Because you're standing at the top of a hill you climbed alone. He paused. But that's where real power begins. Real power? I asked softly. He leaned closer. Real power is silent. It doesn't need to announce itself. It just exists, unshakable. For a moment, I couldn't look away. The noise of the gala faded. I thought about Ethan, his smirk, his words, his disbelief that I'd ever rise above him. Maybe this silence was my revenge. Leela returned with 2 glasses of wine. You look deep and thought, what did I miss? Rowan's teaching me about power, I said. Oh good, she said dryly. Maybe he can teach me how to not cry every time a client goes sus. Rowan chuckled. You'll both figure it out. This, he gestured around the glittering hall, is just noise. Don't chase applause. Build something that lasts. I watched him walk away and whispered, silent power. Leela raised a brow. What was that? Nothing, I said. Just a new mantra. Later, as the night ended, I stood near the mirrored wall, the same way I had 2 years ago in my old office bathroom. My reflection looked older now, steadier. Naomi's words replayed. It's not enough. Maybe she was right. Maybe I didn't want revenge anymore. Maybe what I wanted was peace. But peace didn't make headlines. I took a deep breath and smiled faintly at my reflection. You don't need to prove anything, I whispered. Existing like this, successful, calm, alive, that's karma enough. Outside, the city lights shimmered like a promise. For the first time, I didn't feel small under them. I felt unbothered. And maybe that was the point all along. Leela burst into my office like she'd just discovered buried treasure. You're not gonna believe this. I glanced up from my laptop. If it's another influencer asking for free promo, I'll pass. No better, she said, sliding her phone across my desk. Read that headline. I leaned forward. Ethan Ward's tech startup faces collapse amid financial scandal. For a second, I didn't breathe. Then quietly, you're kidding? Nope. 2 investors pulled out. Half the staff quit this week. Karma's having her morning coffee. A strange laugh escaped me, sharp, involuntary. After everything he said, everything he took, I stopped myself. God, I shouldn't be smiling. Leela crossed her arms. You earned that smile. Don't start with the guilt thing. I'm not guilty, I said, though the words didn't sound right. It just feels weird. Like I've been waiting for this. And now that it's here, I don't know how to feel. Try satisfied, she said dryly. The universe finally caught up. I stared at the article again. His company, the one he'd built with her. The woman he left me for. What happens now? Leela shrugged. Probably bankruptcy, lawsuits, the usual downfall playlist. I tried to picture Ethan reading the news about himself, the arrogance melting into panic. For a moment, I felt a flicker of pity, and then hated myself for it. Leela noticed. Don't you dare. What? That look. The poor Ethan. Look. He didn't give you mercy, Ava. I sighed. I know, but I can't help it. I keep thinking about that night. He said I'd never make it without him. And now you're proof he was wrong, she interrupted. You're not the same woman he left crying on his floor. Her words landed hard. I closed the article and leaned back in my chair. You're right. I'm not her anymore. Leela smiled. Good, because she doesn't get to run a multi-million-dollar brand or prep for a merger with Rowan Pierce's team. I laughed softly. You make it sound like I'm invincible. Close enough, she said. Just promise me you won't call him. I wasn't going to. I said too quickly. Uh-huh. That's what people say right before doing the exact opposite. I rolled my eyes. I won't, I swear. But when she left the room, silence settled in like smoke. My mind wandered where I didn't want it to go. Ethan's voice, his smirk, his belief that I'd crumble without him. I whispered to myself, look who's crumbling now. The words felt cold, not victorious. My phone buzzed. Rowan. Meeting in 20? Prep the merger draft. Perfect timing. I straightened my blazer, glanced at the window, and forced my focus back to the present. When I entered the boardroom, Rowan was already reviewing numbers. You look distracted, he said. Just old ghosts, I replied. He nodded knowingly. Let them haunt someone else. You've got real battles to win. Like this merger? Like your future, he said simply. I exhaled slowly. Right. Focus forward. Rowan smiled faintly. Exactly. Let karma handle the rest. As we began the presentation, I caught my reflection in the glass wall. Calm, polished, in control. Maybe this was karma. Not his downfall, my peace. And for the first time, that felt like enough. Leela rushed into my office, whispering like the walls had ears. Ava, you need to see this. I frowned. What now? Another merger delay? She shook her head and handed me a sum. I froze the moment I saw the name. Ethan Ward. My stomach dropped, but my expression didn't. You're kidding? Nope. He applied for the project manager position. The hiring team scheduled an interview today. My hands felt suddenly cold. He has no idea, does he? Not a clue. The CEO section says A. Martinez. He probably thought it was a man. I exhaled slowly, forcing my voice steady. Don't cancel it, Ava, I said. Don't. I looked her dead in the eye. I want to see his face. Minutes later, I walked into the conference room, heels clicking against marble. He sat there, flipping through a company brochure, perfectly unaware. The moment our eyes met, his smile froze. His face went pale. Ava? I tilted my head slightly. It's Miss Martinez now. He blinked, mouth half open. You're the CEO? I nodded, folding my hands calmly on the table. Yes, welcome to my company, he stammered. I didn't know. I thought that I'd still be nothing without you. I finished for him, my tone even. He swallowed hard. I never meant Ava. That night. Let's keep this professional, I interrupted. You're here for an interview, aren't you? He hesitated. Yes, of course. Good. I opened his sum. You've had quite the journey since we last met. Your startup closed? His jaw tightened. It was complicated. Wrong partners, bad timing. I tapped the paper lightly. That's funny. The reports said financial misconduct, but let's not dwell on the past. He looked down, voice barely steady. You must think I deserve this. I leaned forward. I don't think about what people deserve anymore. I just hire who's competent. Silence filled the room like thick smoke. He finally whispered, You've changed. I smiled faintly. That was the goal. He tried to meet my eyes, searching for the woman he once controlled. Ava. I raised a hand. Stop. If you want this job, we'll continue. If not, the door's behind you. He exhaled shakily. I need this job. Then let's proceed. My voice was smooth, detached. Tell me, Ethan, what do you bring to the table that my team doesn't already have? He hesitated, glancing at me nervously. Experience, leadership. I've learned from my mistakes. Have you? I asked quietly. Because some mistakes destroy what they touch. His lips parted, but no words came out. I stood, circling the table slowly, my heels echoing like a metronome. When you told me I was nothing, I believed you. For a while, but now I stopped behind him. You're sitting in my office, asking me for a chance? He turned, his voice low. Ava, I was wrong. I know that now. Regret doesn't fix what's broken, I said softly. It just reminds you of the cost. He looked defeated. So, is this revenge? No, I met his eyes. This is closure. The room went silent again. My reflection glimmered in the glass wall, composed. Untouchable. Finally, I said, Thank you for your time. Mr. Ward, we'll contact you if we decide to move forward. He nodded slowly, stood up, and walked out without another word. The door clicked shut behind him, and my heart raced so loudly I could hear it in my ears. Leela appeared in the doorway. So, I exhaled, letting my mask slip for a second. He looked smaller than I remembered. She smirked. That's what happens when karma walks in wearing heels. I smiled faintly. Then I guess karma just had her meeting. He showed up uninvited. Leela's voice came through the intercom, uneasy. Ava, he's here again. I didn't look up from my laptop. Tell him I'm busy. I did. He said he'll wait. I sighed, closing my eyes. Fine, send him in. The door opened. Ethan stepped inside, pale, tired, wearing the same pride he used to weaponize. Only now, it looked cracked. He stopped a few feet from my desk. Ava, please. I just need 5 minutes. It's Miss Martinez, I said quietly. And you already had your interview. I know, he said, voice trembling. But I need to explain. I gestured toward the chair. 5 minutes. After that, I have real business to attend to. He sat, clasping his hands like a man holding broken glass. I messed up. I was young, arrogant. I didn't realize what I had. I stared at him, expression blank. You realized enough to throw me away in front of half the city. He winced. I regret that every day. Regret doesn't change the past, I said softly. He leaned forward. I'm not asking for forgiveness. Just a chance. I've changed, Ava. I've been through hell. Hell? I repeated, my voice dry. Try sleeping on a friend's couch with no job and a broken heart. That's hell. He swallowed hard. I was stupid. I thought success would make me happy. I thought leaving you was ambition. I tilted my head. And now I know I was just scared. You believed in me more than I did. His voice cracked. I don't expect you to forget, but please don't hate me. I let the silence stretch. My heart didn't ache anymore. It just felt tired. I don't hate you, I said finally. You're not worth that kind of energy. He flinched like I'd struck him. Then, at least let me work here. I can prove myself. I'll do anything. Anything? I echoed. Leaning back, he nodded quickly. Yes, I just need a chance to rebuild. I studied him, the same man who once told me I'd never survive without him. Now, he was the one begging to belong in my world. I gave a small, cold smile. I don't hire men who once told me I was nothing. His eyes widened, panic flickering. Ava, please don't do this. This? I stood, walking to the window. Ethan, I didn't do anything. You did. I just lived long enough to watch the consequences catch up. He stood too, desperate. You're enjoying this, aren't you? I turned, meeting his eyes calmly. No, I'm just done. He opened his mouth, but no words came. His pride, the thing he wore like armor, shattered right there between us. He finally whispered, I really did love you. I exhaled slowly. Then you should have treated me like it. The silence that followed was deafening. He left without another word. When the door clicked shut, I sank into my chair. My hands trembled, not from anger, but release. Leela poked her head in. You okay? I am, I said, surprising myself. For the first time in years, I actually am. She smiled faintly. Good, because he looked like he saw a ghost. I smiled back. Maybe he did, and in that moment, I realized his downfall wasn't my revenge. It was my freedom. Leela burst into my office, waving her phone like it was on fire. Ava, you need to see this right now. I raised an eyebrow. If it's another fake rumor, I'm not in the mood. It's not fake, she said breathlessly, thrusting the phone at me. It's Oliver Grant. He just published a full feature on you. I frowned, taking her phone. The headline glowed on the screen. From the corner desk to the CEO's chair, the rise of Ava Martinez. My chest tightened. He actually wrote it. Not just wrote it, Leela said, grinning. It's everywhere. Trending on LinkedIn, Twitter, even business blogs. You're viral, Ava. I scrolled down, scanning the article. It detailed everything. My start as an underpaid assistant, the long nights, the rejections. And then I saw it. Sources say a former partner once told her she'd never make it without him. Today, she runs a multi-million-dollar firm. My throat went dry. He didn't use names, but everyone will know. Good, Leela said. Let them. I couldn't decide whether to smile or cry. I didn't ask for this attention. She laughed softly. You earned it. A few minutes later, my phone buzzed non-stop messages, calls, emails. Investors, clients, strangers. Everyone suddenly wanted to talk to me. Rowan called first. You've officially broken the internet, Miss Martinez, I groaned. Please tell me this won't backfire. He chuckled. Backfire? You're the face of resilience. I just got a call from Forbes. They want to feature you next quarter. Forbes? I whispered. This is insane. Get used to it, he said. People love a comeback story, especially when karma's involved. After I hung up, another message popped up on my screen. Unknown number. Hi, Ava. This is Claire Blake. I froze. Claire, the woman Ethan left me for. The message continued. I read the article. I just wanted to say, thank you for standing up for yourself, for showing the world what strength looks like. I wish I'd known that version of you. I stared at the text, conflicted. Part of me wanted to ignore it, but another part, the one that had finally stopped bleeding, felt peace. I replied simply, "Thank you, Claire. I hope you find your strength too." Leela peeked over my shoulder. "Who's that?" "Someone from the past," I said quietly. She smiled knowingly. "And how's the present treating you?" I looked at the phone, where notifications still poured in. Loud, overwhelming, but good. Then Leela smirked. "You think Ethan's seen it yet?" I didn't even have to guess. Of course he has. As if on cue, another notification popped up, a comment under the article. Funny how tables turn. I didn't need to check who posted it. I already knew. I leaned back, letting out a slow breath. "This wasn't about revenge," I murmured. "But it feels poetic, doesn't it?" Leela laughed. "Poetic justice with designer heels." I grinned. Exactly. For the first time, the world wasn't laughing at me, it was applauding. And somewhere out there, the man who once told me I was nothing was watching my name climb higher than he'd ever reached. I whispered to myself, "Guess I made it after all." The city looked different that morning, brighter somehow. Or maybe it was just me. Leela met me outside the office with 2 coffees in hand. "You're up early. Big day?" "Not for business," I said, taking the cup. "For closure." She tilted her head. "Closure sounds like therapy talk. Should I be worried?" I smiled faintly. "No, I just have somewhere I need to go." Rowan appeared behind her, adjusting his tie. "Let me guess, press conference? Interview? Another award?" "None of those," I replied. Something quieter. They exchanged glances, curiosity written all over their faces. "Want company?" Leela asked. "No," I said softly. "This one's mine." The old apartment building hadn't changed much, same cracked walls, same broken elevator. I climbed the stairs slowly, my heels clicking against the concrete. Memories hit me like ghosts. Ethan laughing in the kitchen, me burning toast, promises that meant nothing. I stood at the door of what used to be our place and whispered, "God, I was so naive." A neighbor opened her door down the hall. "Ava Martinez? The CEO?" I smiled politely. "Used to be just Ava here." She chuckled. "Well, you made it out. Not many do." "I did," I said, "but not without scars." When she closed her door, I took out my purse and pulled out a small, worn photograph, Ethan and me, smiling at some rooftop party years ago. The edges were curled, the memory still sharp. I whispered, "You don't get to live rent-free in my head anymore." Then I walked downstairs to the dumpster outside. For a long second, I just stared at the picture between my fingers. My heart beat fast, not from anger, but something deeper, release. "Goodbye, Ethan," I said, and let it fall. The wind caught it for a moment before it disappeared into the trash. I exhaled, feeling lighter. Leela's voice echoed in my mind. "Forgiveness isn't weakness. It's freedom." I hadn't understood it then, but I did now. When I returned to the office, Leela and Rowan were waiting with champagne. Rowan grinned. "You missed it. The London deal went through. You're officially international." Leela popped the cork, the foam spilling over as she cheered. "To the empire you built from ashes." I laughed. "You two are ridiculous." "No," she said, raising her glass. "We're proud." Rowan added, "You deserve every bit of this, Ava. Every headline, every partnership. You did it without revenge, just results." I clinked my glass against theirs. "You know what's funny? I thought getting even would make me feel powerful, but it never did." "What did?" Leela asked. "Letting go," I said simply. "Forgiving him. Not for him, for me." Rowan leaned against the table. "You're stronger than most people I know." I smiled. "I'm just done carrying things that don't belong to me anymore." He nodded slowly. "So what now?" I looked out the window at the skyline. "My skyline. Now, I live." Leela raised her brow. "That's it? No dramatic finale?" I laughed. The drama ended when I stopped needing his apology. The office filled with laughter and clinking glasses. For the first time, I wasn't chasing success out of spite. I was simply proud. Later, as I sat alone by the window, watching the city lights shimmer, I whispered, "Forgiveness isn't forgetting, its freedom." And for the first time in a long time, I felt both. The stage lights were blinding, but for once, I didn't flinch. "Ready?" Leela whispered from the side curtain, holding my cue cards like a proud mom. I smiled. "As I'll ever be." Rowan gave me a thumbs up. "You've done harder things than a speech." "Yeah," I said softly. "Like surviving myself." When my name was announced, Ava Martinez, founder and CEO of Maven Rise. The applause felt like a heartbeat under my feet. I stepped up to the microphone, took a breath, and scanned the crowd. Hundreds of women, young, old, hopeful, afraid, staring back at me. But it wasn't until my eyes drifted toward the far corner that my breath hitched. Ethan, he stood in the back, near the exit. Same face, different man. Unshaven, tired, hollow. The expensive confidence he once wore like armor was gone. His hands fidgeted at his sides. I could have looked away, but I didn't. Good evening, I began, forcing my voice steady. 2 years ago, I was sitting behind a desk in a cramped office, making coffee for people who didn't remember my name. A ripple of laughter broke through the crowd. I thought that was all I'd ever be. I was wrong. Someone near the front shouted, "You proved them wrong." I smiled faintly. Maybe, but the truth is, I didn't need to prove anything to anyone, not anymore. As I spoke, my gaze flickered to Ethan again. His expression was unreadable. Regret, shame, maybe both. I remember someone once telling me I'd never make it, I said, my tone sharpening. That I wasn't smart enough, not strong enough, that I'd always depend on someone else to survive. I paused, feeling the old pain stir and then dissolve like smoke. Turns out, he was half right. I did depend on someone, me. The audience erupted in applause. I could almost hear Rowan's whistle from backstage. When the noise settled, I leaned closer to the mic. I built my company from nothing, but the hardest thing I ever built was my self-worth. I took another breath, steadying the tremor in my chest. And that's what tonight is about. Not revenge, not success, but freedom. From the corner of my eye, Ethan lowered his head. I continued, sometimes, the people who break you are the same ones who teach you how to rebuild. Not because they care, but because they underestimated you. A woman near the front row nodded, tears in her eyes. I met her gaze, smiling softly. I know what it feels like to be dismissed. To be told your dreams are too big, your emotions too loud, your worth too small. My voice cracked slightly. But listen to me, no one defines your worth but you. The audience went still, holding the silence like a shared secret. In that pause, I glanced one last time toward Ethan. He looked small, not physically, but spiritually, like a man watching his ghost walk across a stage. Our eyes met briefly. For a heartbeat, I saw it. Remorse, longing, maybe recognition. But I didn't give it back. I didn't owe him that. Instead, I turned to the audience, my chin lifted. To every woman who's ever been told she's nothing, remember this moment. Because nothing built an empire. The crowd rose to their feet. Applause thundered through the room, echoing like a storm. Cameras flashed, hands clapped, and voices shouted my name. Through it all, Ethan slipped quietly out the back door. I watched him leave without a word. No victory speech, no revenge, just silence. The sweetest kind. Leela hugged me the moment I stepped off stage. You killed it, Rowan added, grinning. You just rewrote every headline in this city. I laughed breathlessly. I didn't want to kill anything. I just wanted peace. Leela smirked. Peace looks good on you, boss. We clinked our glasses later at the after party, the city lights stretching endlessly outside the hotel window. I leaned back in my chair, finally feeling the weight of everything I'd let go. Rowan raised his glass again. To Ava Martinez, the woman who turned nothing into everything. To freedom, I said, Leela added. And to making them watch from the cheap seats. We laughed. The sound light and real. As the night thinned out, I slipped onto the balcony alone. The city hummed below, alive, chaotic, beautiful. I whispered to myself, he said I was nothing. Then I smiled, eyes lifting toward the horizon. Now he knows what nothing feels like. And with that, I finally stopped looking back.